All righty. Hello, hello, hello. So, everybody, welcome. Guess what? You all did it. The holiday, the clump of the holiday season has passed us, and everybody's here, and you all survived. You may all be having emotional hangovers still because of the emotion, and so many of you guys had milestone days that are built in. I know Anita's milestone day is still coming up. Anita's not on with us yet, but so I want you guys first and foremost to give yourselves props on your measured progress. Okay. That is huge, 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 huge. And even though it felt like poop while you were going through it, you're on the other side or coming out the other side now. And we always, always, always have to stop and look at our measured progress, or it just gets too overwhelming as a whole, right? So, really, really, I really want you guys thinking about like, was it better than year one? If it was your year one, was it a little bit better than you anticipated it being? Because you guys all did it. And from what I've seen, you all did amazing self care through it. A lot of you chose to do new adventures, new traditions, um, and that's how it's done, guys. That's how it's done. My holiday season this year looked completely different than it did last year, which looked completely different than it looked the year before, which looked completely different than my entire rest of my life. So I will tell you guys as you go into next year, of course, I'll have a holiday program next year. But as you guys go into next year, you might go ahead and be thinking about, are there things that you want to incorporate into next year? New adventures, new traditions, you know. Um, I know, Susan, you really changed it up, especially last minute this year. So, I don't know that that's always a bad thing, guys, especially if we look at it as, you know what, universe is putting it in my path to like take this on as a new adventure, have a new experience. Something that's been very, very healing for me is to have new experiences. And even as busy and as exhausted as I am right now, and I hate moving, but I'm moving like moving Omri now, just move myself, move my neighbor. I'm trying to go into that, really looking at that like, you know what? Every single time I'm doing this is a new adventure. It's a new experience for me. And that's really taken a lot of the like, oh my God, I have to get up and move somebody today out of it, right? It almost gives me a little bit of excitement. Doesn't mean I'm not exhausted because I am exhausted. Apparently, I had 2 years of respite where I got to hit the beach, every other day, and I kicked back and I worked from my phone. Now I'm like, all right, I'm working, I'm setting up new home, I'm moving this person, I'm doing this. So universe is like, blam, here it is, Nikki. And as tired as I am enjoying it. Like I am enjoying it. So going into the new year, let's think about new adventures, new experiences that you guys can have. And like I said, it doesn't have to be these big, huge, off the wall things. I'm taking literally every day as a new adventure, like anything that's coming my way. That, like, all right, it's a new experience. I'm learning more, I'm growing more. And it really has taken like the dread out of it, the stress out of it, which is huge, I think. So, to start off, let's talk about Christmas. How many of you are glad it's over? Every single one of y'all. How many of you, even before your kiddos left body, would have said the same thing, that you were glad it's over? Exactly. So when we really get real with ourselves and we don't attribute everything to grief, we can kind of look at the little bit of normalcy that's in there, like, you know, really, holidays are stressful anyway because of the pressures we put on ourselves and the pressure society puts on us. So usually, most people are glad when they're over, even if they're not in deep grief. Okay. So it's always good to really get real with yourself and kind of deconstruct that part. I think it's like maybe tenfold, right? When you have the grief added on top of it and you're trying to re enter into your new normal. But there is that one tiny piece that we can say, I've always been glad when it was over, because it's always been pretty stressful. So just don't forget to look at that kind of stuff. I'm going to open it up for discussion. I know Natalie's not on with us yet, I don't think. Was it Natalie or was it Sarah? It was either Sarah or Natalie that wanted to talk about something that they posted. And then I also want to talk about, I want to open up to discuss whatever you guys want to discuss. And then I also want to talk about your truth note cards, your intentions for 2022, and the vision boards that we're going to be presenting on our closing Zoom on the 2nd. Okay. So, Sarah, was it you that had posted about?
Yeah.
There she is. There she is. Right. I knew it was one of y'all. I'm like literally, I'm like, boop, I'm on scrolling. I'm like, okay, who was that? I know I just talked to somebody about this. So let's go ahead and start there, Sarah. If you want to talk about,
Yeah, the last couple months, this has been really bothering me. I'm getting past it more and more, but my daughter passed in May of 2019, so it's about 2.5 years, going on 3. And I knew, and I heard from so many people about friendships and, friends that you had, it will go away. And, when it first happened, a lot of people were around, and then, they said that will go away. And I didn't believe that, but it did. And then there were like 3 really good, solid people, maybe a few more that I really were there for me, that I thought, okay, these are the people. But one of those in particular kind of has gone away recently. And so that's been really hurtful. And they were like super supportive. So, and then there's other people that like I knew as soon as my daughter passed, I'm like, oh, this person's so the relationship I've had with this person has always been about them. So I know for sure they're not going to stick around, and they didn't, one in particular was like my daughter's close friend, her mom. I knew that one wasn't going to stick around. She's never once like made any effort to reach out to me after Emily passed away, which I expected. Still hurt, but my son was friends with her kids. And so I think that hurts him that he lost those friendships. So he feels it too, even though he's not able to verbalize it.
Absolutely.
So even like recently it came up because we used to invite them over for New Year's Eve, and we haven't since Emily passed. And it recently came up when we were talking about New Year's Eve with my son's therapist. And he's like, well, I'd really like to invite this family over. And my husband's looking at me like, well, that's something that mom's going to have to deal with. That's her own problem. And I'm like, yeah, I could be the bigger person and invite them over, but I don't want to, I don't know.
How old is your son, Sarah?
13. He's 13.
So let's broach this part first. If that's what he wants to do because he's missing that and you're not comfortable with that at this point, it comes down to very honest, blatant conversations, right? And so you might explain to him, when families go through this type of thing, a lot of times they grow apart from other people. You'll have to put it in 13-year-old context, and then say, what else can we do to make your New Year's good?
Yeah.
Maybe him having 3 or 4 of his school friends come over, and the adults you guys just tend to them having a good time. So you can lean into that with him. Okay. But it's going to take an open, honest conversation with him about it, about really him understanding, and it sucks for them. I will tell you, it sucks for them, but them understanding kind of what happens in grief. Now for you, go ahead. You know.
I'm like, I still don't understand. I get it. I see it. I know it. I don't understand it. I guess my theory is nobody ever wants to walk in my shoes. So they just don't want to be around me.
That's part of it. So there's an earth perspective, and then there's a broader perspective. So we'll conquer the earth perspective first, right? When you're dealing with the other humans. Number 1, it's the grief plague. Subconsciously, and they're not even aware of it, we are living their worst nightmare. That's why we hear, they're well-meaning with it when they're like, I can't even imagine, I would never survive that. That right there is a double-edged sword for us because we're like, what the fuck? Like, so now I'm bad because I am surviving it. That's one part of it. And the other part of it is, you're right. You can't imagine. I don't want you to imagine. So there's a lot of nuance in there that gets all tangled up. What I experienced was that, and I started calling it the grief plague. I mean, I would walk down the first time I went out in public, like to the little town Christmas parade. I literally saw people cross the street as I was walking down that I had known my whole life and been close with, simply to avoid, because they did not know how to interact with me anymore. They didn't, I mean, and bless their hearts, right? Because they don't know what to say. Half of them probably want to comfort you, but they don't want to bring, it's that elephant in the room, right? Do I say it? Am I going to remind her? We've not forgotten, right? It's not a matter of being reminded. So there is the grief plague part of it, that they so walk on eggshells around us, not because they have to even. I mean, we're broke wide open, right? We're like, it's all out there now. So we have no problem really talking about any of it. Even if there are tears, that's healing for us. But for them, it's the tension of the elephant in the room, the walking on the eggshells, the fact that we are their worst nightmare come true, quite honestly, right? So there's that piece of it. That is the earth piece. The broader perspective of that, Sarah, is that universal wise, energetic wise, spiritual wise, what's happened to you has broken you wide open and shattered you, and you have grown and transcended so much in such a very short period of time. Like, you guys all know, you can all attest, like, your growth is like, whoa, right? And so vibrational wise, Sarah, those people actually no longer vibrate with you, because you now vibrate higher, because you're more, I hate this word, but you're more woke, right? You have a deeper and a higher spiritual truth. And so it's harder for them to, on an earth perspective, relate to you, but on a vibrational perspective, they don't vibrate with you. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your growth, guys. It doesn't matter where you're at. And it doesn't matter, like, even people that I've gotten really tight with people on my grief and healing journey. And as I've kept doing my work, my self work now, and my life work now, those people have continued to fall away. And they were people that I truly thought, because they also had a dead child, that I would never, ever, ever fall out with. I thought we would always be connected, but they stopped doing their work at some point, and I have kept going with my work, and those people too have fallen away. And it can be extremely painful. It can be extremely painful. But what happens is, as we keep doing our work and growing, universe clears the path for that vibrationally to some degree, right? So you start watching relationships kind of fall apart. You see people start to fall away. This happens in marriages too, guys. It can be with your partners, it can be with your friends, it can be with your family, it can be with people you meet on your healing journey that you truly think you're always going to be connected with. It Universe does clear the path, because it knows that you're wanting to keep transcending and ascending and raising your vibration and growing and healing. And that is a higher vibration than people that are walking around that are what we all here now call the normal humans, right? The ignorance is bliss, that they're still on the earth plane all the time, and they don't have the spiritual knowledge that we now have, that our children have provided to us in their leaving body. So, and that's good news and bad news, right? I mean, it's again, there's so many catch-22s and kind of double-edged swords in this, well, in the whole journey itself, really, but especially in this piece, because even though it is for your higher good, it's extremely painful to walk through, because it feels like secondary losses, right? It feels like secondary losses, as if enough hasn't changed in your life already. And now this is changing too. Where did Sarah? Oh, there she is. So, and now this is changing too. So there is a fine point to it though. Some of that is about you learning to set boundaries. Some of that is about you learning to have hard conversations. If there are people that are very close to you, because a lot of anger and resentment can build up over this situation. And so it is also teaching you how to be authentic in what you need and have those honest, open, blatant conversations, because sometimes it is just miscommunication. Sometimes they're, you know, staying away because they don't want to make you uncomfortable. They're fearing what they may say. And so it's up to us to kind of weed through those and have those conversations and say, you know, I know that the grief is hard to deal with, but like I still need you. Like, why don't you come around? Because guys, we don't ask people that enough. Like, right? Like, why are you not coming around? They may very well say, you know, it's uncomfortable for me. And instead of getting offended, you can say, it's uncomfortable for me too, but I feel like, you know, that we're close enough that I can be open and honest and myself in whatever I'm going through with you, because that's what friends do. And if they back off, then there's your red flag, like, oh, I'm we're not of the same vibration anymore. And it's okay for me to release this person. The good news is those people can sometimes come back around. They can, as they go through and grow through their own shatterings of what, you know, divorce or whatever it is for them, whatever their contrast is for them. But and I don't even say I lost a lot of friends anymore. I outgrew a lot of friends. I outgrew a lot of friends, and that sounds kind of pretentious, and I don't mean for it to sound that way, but I don't relate to them anymore right now, especially where you're at, because in year 1 and 2, and actually probably year 3, small talk drove me crazy. I didn't give a shit about it. I didn't want to talk about, you know, the celebrity, whatever the, I mean, I still don't really talk about celebrity stuff a lot because that, you know, but as an example, so it's a relatability thing. And what I found is whoever does fall away, you're going to come into contact with whoever does vibrate with you at the point of growth that you're at. Now it's going to be up to you to forge those new friendships, which is hard when we're women that are our age, guys. My goodness, is it hard to make friends? Oh, so hard. You know, it's so hard. And to have discernment with those people too, right? That's really hard. So it really is quite normal, Sarah. It's quite normal. And it doesn't matter if you had rung me up in, you know, at 6 months, I was going to be like, you're going to lose all your friends. It doesn't matter. Even if you were prepared for it, you still can't be prepared for it. It still hurts. It still sucks. What I had to do a lot of, and guys, there's so much surrender. There's, I'm talking, you have to learn to surrender to every single little tiny crack and crevice that comes up, right? So I really I would grieve these losses, I would grieve them. I mean, I still do sometimes. I still do sometimes. And I would grieve them, and then I would shift into my broader perspective and say, okay, why is this happening? What is it trying to teach me? Oh, it's to stand in my own vibration, know that, you know what? Universe is going to bring me into the path of people that I can relate with and that I can connect with and that want to grow with me, right? So it's extremely hard though. It's extremely hard. And we have to be very careful not to get lost in the secondary loss pit, right? Because we can look at it as secondary losses, or we can look at it as universe clearing the path, right? I ended up choosing, and I still choose to, when something like that occurs, that I choose to tell myself, like, okay, this is happening for a reason. Universe is clearing the path because I'm getting ready to level up, and some people can't come with you on that level. Some people can't come with you on that level. Now, as you get further out in your healing journey, Sarah, and you learn to kind of reacclimate and re-enter into earth, the earth realm more, and you can go a long time without having to speak about your spiritual awakening and your growth and all that, and you can get kind of back to a normal, relatable earth plane, you may be able to, reconnect with some of those people. Here's the deal though, it's going to be different. Okay. Those people that I have reconnected with, it's a much different relationship than what I thought it was before, because I lower my vibration to come down to their level and we interact, but they don't know, like, I can, I can take an evening off and go out and have fun now and not ever have to even bring up Leaf, or I can just be present in that. But that took me a very, very long time to be able to integrate back into doing. And those are not people, even though they're people that I was like, oh my God, we'll be friends until the day I die. And they were people that showed up that I'd been to high school with, that showed up, and I barely remember it, but helped with Leaf's memorial and everything. I don't talk to most of them anymore because they're constantly talking about, what's going on in small town Neosho and who's doing what. And I don't have the bandwidth to play in that realm anymore for the most part. Now if one of them comes down here and visits, if they were to come down here and visit, I could go hang out with them for an evening and I can get on their level for an evening, but it's not going to be a prolonged, close, intimate connection anymore. And that doesn't mean that it wasn't a soul connection. It just means that you'll become very well versed in seeing when a season with somebody has come to an end because you're outgrowing them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not very comforting, Sarah. I'm sorry for that. I'm very sorry. Sometimes the hard truth is not very comforting, but that really is what it looks like. The shift I would offer you is to, number one, let it teach you to have those open, blatant conversations, right? Because you may find that as you have those with some of them, they'll be like, oh, okay, she's totally taken the elephant out of the room. This isn't taboo. I can still be real with her, in this level. And you may have some that are like, and that's where you're going to learn discernment, open, honest conversations. Literally, what is this trying to teach me? Is it trying to teach you to stand in your authentic truth? Is it trying to teach you to use your voice? Because if you're hurt by something, it's okay to use your voice and say, this has hurt me. You may not get the answer you want to hear, but that provides discernment to whether or not you want to set a boundary and just go ahead and grieve and mourn that old chapter, right? As you come into a new chapter, or if you want to try to maintain that. So there's a lot of learning that goes into what people call secondary losses. A lot of it.
You know what, Sarah? I went through the same thing and it broke my heart and I cried for months and I finally put it in its place. This was a very, very, very good friend. I spoke to her once during COVID. Anyway, when I see I have two different groups of friends. When I see this group of friends that I've been friends with for a long time, when we get together, it's like we're best friends. I hug her, how you doing? Da, da, da. And I go home now and I'm like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But it took me I'm telling you, at least a year and a half to get there. But I had to put it in its place. I really did, because I was mourning her. It was it was hurtful. It was painful. And I had to have a bronchoscopy today, and I didn't tell a lot of people, but she found out and she called me yesterday. I mean, she hasn't called me in 2 years. And left me a message, and I did call her back this morning, and I said, thank you for the phone call. She goes, I love you. I go, I know, I love you too, and I'm here. I said, thank you very much. So it was a nice surprise, but I'm able to, I know she loves me, but I'm able to put it in its place because for whatever reason, I don't know. But I think I was put on the earth this time to make friendship lessons, because I've had really tough lessons, not even since Patrick transitioned, but even before that,
Yeah.
I think I'm very trusting. Yeah, I think I'm very trusting, which I've kind of learned to pull back a little. But I feel like like I have better friendships with all of you that I don't know you that well. You know what I mean? We know each other deeply because of what, the journey that we're traveling together. But I feel like God sent me these 4 friends in the last 2.5 years that one of them, her son transitioned 15 years ago. And they're just the most wonderful, wonderful people, and I thank God every day for them because I feel like we were brought together for a reason, but it's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
But
It's not easy at all.
once you do get to a certain place with it, it's kind of freeing, but I think it takes a long time to get there. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So good luck to you.
I think it takes a long time to get
Yeah.
there. I mean, absolutely it does.
I'm starting to turn the corner over the last month or so, and I ran into my daughter's best friend's mom at Target, and I literally just put it all out there, and I was falling in the baking aisle at Target. And she came back around, she didn't disappear. She followed up. So I'm like, okay.
Good on her. And, I think some of it is they really, I mean, think about it beforehand, guys. Did you guys know how to handle? Did Sarah pop off? Did she get cut off? I don't see her now. I don't know where she went. Sarah. I mean, we can be unapproachable. You know what I mean? I think that we probably very much can be unapproachable in our grief and in our healing a lot of times for people that, I mean, they have no idea how we're doing what we're doing. They have no idea. And really that's where we get to come together because we do have an idea of how we're doing what we're doing, and that's why we can relate. But part of it really is that grief plague. I mean, most of you guys know that have worked with me. I mean, I didn't talk to my parents for 2 years. And I was well convinced that would never come back around. Do I have to continue to set boundaries? I absolutely do. But I can meet my parents in their own vibration and relate with them there. And then they can leave now and I can then go back into my vibration and stay there. So you'll learn to maneuver this. It is not an easy thing to do for most of us. It's not. I don't know that it's an easy thing to do. I remember saying, God, I hate small talk. I don't want to do small talk anymore, blah, blah. And now at 5 years, I'm like, God, I get tired of talking about spirit all the time. I want some small talk, damn it. So it's that integration and learning how to do it. And now I do have people that I can just small talk with, I have a friend that was always like, Nikki, every time we'd have a cocktail, she's like, surface, Nikki, surface. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm trying to come back up and just be a normal human, and that's our running joke now. Her mother has since passed. And so now I'm the one saying to her, Reagan, surface. Like, are we going to talk about spirit the whole time we're sitting here? So it's funny how that turns. But you will learn to integrate it. How many of you here, because I know there's some of you here have learned to integrate that now. Lynn, I know you've integrated that pretty well. Bernie, you've integrated it well. There's Sarah. Kathy, you've integrated it well. So some of you have learned to integrate it. How many of you feel like you have kind of crossed that bridge and learned to, I mean, do you remember, Lynn, do you remember being like, man, I don't want to talk small talk. And now you're like,
absolutely. It just, I just want to talk about Kevin and other people dying and not forget the small talk. I couldn't stand it. I just couldn't stand it.
And now do you find yourself like, oh, I want to have coffee with somebody and just
totally.
Have some
absolutely.
Talk,
Yep.
So I think I watched you turn the corner when you got back involved in the political campaigns that were going on in your town, and you really threw yourself into that. I'm like, whoo, Lynn's turned that corner. She's back playing in the earth realm.
Oh, absolutely. And I have to say, Bernie, what you said about those your friends, bereaved moms came into your life. I had 3 women come into my life, and we were just the best friends now. We just the best. And I'm sure we'll be friends forever. Or they lost there's three other ones, and they lost their daughters just a month before and a month after Kevin died.
Wow.
And we just have a wonderful time together, and they're better than the ones I lost, for sure. I mean, it's just so different,
Plus, you don't have to explain yourself to them. They just know.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
just know.
Yeah, because I did lose friends, especially Kevin's friends' moms. They kind of, and I mean, I'm okay with that, because they were probably pretty superficial to start with. So.
Yeah. And it really, the truth of the matter is, guys, too, like, I had friends that I made very early on in my journey with Leaf who had lost children. And like I said, that I have split with a lot of those. You know me, though, I can piss a person off because I don't mince words. So if people take me wrong and they take me personal, then they skedaddle. But I have lost friends that I've met on this journey that I truly considered, best friends. And
me too.
And then I have people like, Kathy and I met fairly early on, and Kathy and I really, kind of grow right along with each other since I've met Bernie. Bernie and I just keep, keeping on. And so, this whole thing is about your perspective shift. You have to get really, really aware of when you're looking at things from an earth, ego, self perspective, which is just the earth paradigm. And then what is your perspective shift when you remove the ego self from it, from the broader perspective? And so that's why my catchphrase is like, there, another one bites the dust, universe clear the path. This sucks and it hurts, but you're taking me somewhere. I'm willing to surrender and go with you. You know what I mean? And I have said that. I mean, in the first 3 years, I felt like I said it every waking moment sometimes, truly, truly. And it's happened. I mean, things like that have happened even within Warrior Parents United organization, when people aren't as driven as what Kathy and I have been, and Emily's part of it now, and we have a really strong board. But when even past board members started, re-entering, and they kind of stayed right here, and we wanted to keep going, and we're still driven to help people. And so you're going to find that in every context, this is going to happen. It is. And that's just what growth looks like, guys. I mean, that's the shit end of the deal, but it's not the shit end of the deal, because you will level up, Sarah, and you're going to figure out it's such a huge lesson in discernment, right? It's such a huge lesson in discernment of understanding who you connect with on a soul level at whatever stage you're at in your healing and your growth, truly. And just like anything else, it can be a poopy ass lesson sometimes, and it hurts and it's ick. But what I found is that it has helped me so much, and it hurts a lot less now. It's sometimes to the point where I'm like, am I like losing my heart, right? Because I'm not totally broken apart that this person has walked out of my life. Now I just know that it's like, okay, we're not in alignment with each other. We're not vibrating at the same rate. So it's not relatable anymore. So I keep going, and they do whatever they're doing. You're going to learn not to take that personal either. Right.
Well, and you'll also get to the point where, I know for me, my truth is the litmus test now. Tell somebody my truth and they totally reject it. I might do small talk with you for 5 or 10 minutes, but we're not hanging out on the regular. It just ain't gonna happen. And people who for whatever reason reject spirit or reject my connection with Sophie, they don't want to talk about it. I can talk TV with you for a couple times here. We might have a drink tonight, but don't expect me to be your texting buddy. And we're not going to hang out. And I hate to use the word too, but I'm more interested in being around people who get the journey. They don't have to be walking the exact same journey as me. They don't necessarily even have to have lost a child, but they have to be open to the spiritual connection. They have to be open to the fact that my child's not dead. She's just invisible and she has superpowers. And if you want to, call me crazy or whatever, yeah, I'm to the point I can small talk with you now, but we're not ever going to be friends.
And it does come to help you learn to stand very loudly in your own truth. It really does, I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I'll meet a person the first time when they find out that I have a child that's passed. I'm like, he's really loud in spirit. He's not even dead. And they're just like, okay. And that opens the door for them to ask more questions, or they walk away like, this bitch is crazy. And I'm okay. Either way, whatever. I'm okay with that. And I don't take it personal anymore. It's taught me, like Kathy said, it will teach you to stand in your truth, and it will teach you to have open, honest conversations without pretense. I mean, how many times, you guys, are you like assuming or wondering what your friend that is disconnected from you now is thinking, right? Instead of us wondering that, it teaches you to say, you know what, we need to have a conversation. Like, I'm feeling this way. I need to know how you're feeling. And let's see if we can meet in the middle on this and understand. It teaches you how to do that, right? Whereas before, it's kind of like, I don't want to reach out because I don't know what they're thinking. Who the hell cares? We've been through the worst. So it's like all pretense is just blown to smithereens. It's like, okay, let's talk. That's why I get so upset when like if somebody's upset with me, come to me and talk. Like I am not an unreasonable person. I would much rather, if I ever piss any of y'all off, message me and say, hey, Nikki, we need to have a conversation. And I'll be like, cool, let's have a conversation. And I guarantee by the end of the conversation, we're going to be on the same page. It was miscommunication. So this actually does really enhance your communication skills, not just with spirit, but with the humans as well. So, it's not a bad thing. And if the communication doesn't come and there's still bumps and bumps and bumps, that comes to teach hard boundaries. Sometimes it comes to teach you when you have to honor your own vibration and you're the one to walk away or to release it or to let it go. That's happened with me some too. And boy, howdy, some of those, Sarah, I've tried to hang on to, claws dug in. No, I am not left. No, but I love them. And the simple fact of the matter is that just makes things worse. When I surrender into it and let spirit guide it, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, leaf, upper management, all of the above, it has gotten easier and easier. It's gotten easier and easier. And I now can very much value and appreciate the people I do feel connected with. And I have no expectation. And I used to be a hopeless romantic, right? So I was like, my friends are my soulmates. I'm going to be connected to them for, my ex-husband, he's my soulmate, going to be with them. I'm no longer a hopeless romantic in that sense. I know that sometimes soul connections are seasonal, and it doesn't mean the connection is any less. It just means that they're there for a season, right? Until you keep doing your work and growing, and then you may meet more people that are your season. And then we have some people that we'll all grow right along together, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Is it possible, Sarah, that you could have just the kids over to satisfy your son's need to want to hang with them?
Yeah,
I mean, you don't really have to be friends with the parents. You can just be civil and
you'd be like, hey,
arm's
your
length,
kids are invited, but you're not.
but foster the kid thing.
New Year's Eve is a long night to sit there with this person. So I'm like, maybe the kids could just meet up for a movie, something like that.
Yeah. And see, I think that's a really good compromise, because you shouldn't I mean, you shouldn't be around this woman if you don't want to be. And you have a sense for her already. I'm sure, in the way she's treated you. I can't say that I blame you at all. I have the person that I really thought was my best friend in the world. We had been friends for 25 years. We called each other sisters. And she came to my parents' house the day after Sophie hopped the veil. She was with me for a couple of hours that day. I went home, came home to 2 hours away. A couple of weeks later, we are ready to have Sophie's celebration of life. She sends me a text message and says, "Sister, I'm not going to be able to make it to Sophie's celebration. I have a dance recital with Kayla." Well, Kayla was the child of this other person who had been in her life for like literally 5 freaking minutes. And still 5 years down the road, I'm bitter about that shit. You know, I'm like, okay, you were supposed to be my best friend. It's not like you can have a do-over celebration of life. Why would you kick me over for a fucking dance recital? Are you serious? And so we've kind of drifted apart now, you know. I mean, we still interact a little bit, but I'm like, you go over here. You're over on this side over here, because you're one of these people that, yeah, you weren't there for me. I'm not really interested in what's going on with you. And it sucks, but it's okay to hold people away. But if you could foster, if your child really needs that friendship and he feels like those friends would be supportive for him, maybe like a movie for them or something is a really great way to foster that for him without you having to interact with the icky mom.
And the truth be known, at 13, Sarah, you know, for these embodied children still, you know, Omri was 15, and what she found out was like, it was hard for her to relate to her friends. So it may be a lesson for him to realize that, oh, like, I don't really relate to them anymore, right? So, and Kathy, we're gonna have to work on that bitterness. But here, guys, the cold hard truth of the matter is, everybody does flock when the hubbub is there, right? That first 2 weeks, that first month, everybody's around. Within that first 6 month span, they start to fall away because life goes on for them. They haven't been shattered. Okay, they haven't been shattered. Their life hasn't been blown to smithereens. And like it or not, cold hard truth, fact of the matter is, in the earth realm, there is no ride or die. That is that's a societal myth, right? There is no, like, that's my best friend. Omri still struggles with this. Like, I'm having a bad day, everybody should drop everything they're doing. That's not realistic. That's hope. That's kind of that hopeless romanticism, that ride or die thing again, right? And so, I mean, you know, Bernie and I are great friends, and I've been too busy to reach out and check on Bernie, you know, knowing that she's going through some health issues, and she could very well be like, well, you know, Nikki's not my good friend because da 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 da. But she also knows that I've been totally busy too. So we have to. A little bit of that is our grief.
I don't think that at all.
I know.
I
know. I'm using you as an example.
Okay.
You know, some of that is our grief entitlement. It's like, you know, if you love me, you should be willing to drop everything that you're doing when I'm going through this. And that's not realistic, not in the earth paradigm, guys, because the simple fact of the matter is, they still have bills to pay. They still have mouths to feed. They still have jobs to go to. They still have their own contrast and stress. Is it like ours in deep grief? No, it's not. But people can only meet you at the level of experience that they have, and they haven't experienced this. So they have no idea how to meet you there, right? It's not like when you're 18 and you and your boyfriend break up, and in you know, 6 months to a year, you're okay. They can meet you there, but they can't. Guys, the simple fact of the matter is, even with the closeness that we have together as a healing community, this is a journey to some extent in the earth paradigm that you will walk alone. You will. and you come to depend and surrender and on your connection to spirit and to universe and to the guidance you get there, because that's your ride or die. That's your ride or die. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, as a person that was a hopeless romantic, and I am the person that still am learning not to drop everything and be like, oh, what do you need of me? Instead of take care of me first, right? I'm still learning that. That was a hard truth for me, man. It smacked me upside the head that, oh shit, like all of these people that have always said, no matter what you're going through, no matter, no, I'm going to be there. They're not there. And bless their hearts. That's how it's supposed to work. Because had they been there, I would have never learned how resilient and tenacious my inner spirit is, and that I can solely depend on myself to guide my healing and to keep growing and to meet the contrast and to learn and grow from it. Does that make sense? It's put in your path so that you come to know your higher self and the potential that you have to save yourself in any given contrast. You know, in fact, the matter is, I mean, there were a lot of times I had to be like, oh shit, I'm not alone. Like, Leaf's here, you know, my spirit guides are here, and I don't know my spirit guides, you know, because I'm like, I'm a spiritual rep, I'm not ready for all that. But you know, you're not ever alone, and universe will provide you with the people that you're meant to be connected with at each and every level of your healing. And sometimes that person is going to be you and your highest self.
It's hard early on to lose the friendships and have the energy to pull yourself up and say, I'm going to make new friends, right? Like, especially amidst losing my daughter and within the first year COVID hitting.
Yeah.
And at first it was a relief, like, oh, I don't have to be social. It was great. But now it's like, wow, I really don't have anyone in my life anymore. I need to do something about that, you know?
So it might be, and here's the deal, Sarah, like that's measured progress, that you're not wanting to, that you got the little itch to like be social again. That's actually growth. That shows your healing. That's your measured progress, right? So usually what I tell clients during that is, so now it's time to start exploring. It is not easy to make friends, man. As an adult woman, you know, especially a sassy, kind of mouthy adult woman, you know. So that's when you start looking at.
You're frozen, Nikki.
Am I still frozen or am I back?
No, now you're back.
Yeah.
Frontier and I are gonna let me turn my phone off the internet. $90 damn a month. This shit better not freeze or I'm gonna have a come apart. Am I frozen? Am I okay?
Nope.
Am I back? Okay. So start putting yourself out in doing new experiences that you have kind of always toyed around with. And I guarantee you there's going to be somebody there that you connect with. And that's how you find them.
I have a very lovely, sweet, boisterous, big personality 4-year-old daughter who is forcing me to be social. She's like, Mom, come on, I want to go. You need to get my friend's mom's phone number because I want to go play. You know, like she's like, we need to go to that Girl Scout thing because I want to be there. So she's been forcing me out.
Good. Yeah. She's going to be your integration re-entry specialist. So yeah. I think you're going to be surprised, Sarah. And maybe you won't be surprised, but in those interactions and you putting yourself out in these new experiences, you're going to meet people that are on your vibration. And they're going to be people that you just in passing that you would have never thought, right? That you would have never thought, but you are doing it. So don't write it off just yet because you're actually you're starting to baby step into the new experiences that are going to be orchestrated, number one, for you to meet the people that you're supposed to meet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Did that help anybody else? Is anybody else going through that right now?
Mhm.
Lee's going through it. Brenda's going through it. Caroline's going through it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a totally normal thing, guys. It's a totally normal thing. And I know it sucks and it feels like crap, but it really, really is for your highest good. Like you guys have all stepped into healing and you're learning to surrender and let what comes come and let what goes go for that's for your highest good and healing. You know, I'll tell you what, be careful with those cord cutting prayers because there's one big huge long one that's like, I'm gonna release all energetic cords with all these people that no longer serve my propelled growth. And I'll tell you what, I did that, and within a week's time, 3 people that I was super close with in my healing journey, bam, they were gone. And I was like, what just happened? So, you know, but it released that really quickly. It catapulted me to a next level. It was really painful for a while, but, so yeah, just keep surrendering. And every time you level up, you guys, in any of this contrast that comes, if you'll shift into the broader perspective and say, universe, clear the path, you know, I'm yours, do with me, take me where I'm supposed to go, universe, God, source, whatever name you give to Alpha Omega, you know, then it's just continual surrender. I mean, I'm talking just like in the deep grief, it's continual, like sometimes every moment surrender. Surrender is really hard, but it is, if there's one thing that is a continual storyline in this human journey and the path to your highest self, it is surrender. And it's going to come in a million different contexts, in a million cracks and crevices, with yourself, with other people, with spirit. I've been wearing this bracelet for 4 years. It's come off 2 times and it says surrender. And I still look at it when I'm like, oh, I'm trying to control this. I want to hold on to things that are not meant to me. I'll look at it and I'm like, okay, just surrender. And I'll just breathe and be like, take the wheel. I'm stepping out. And it's hard, but once you learn how to do that, it gets easier. And the loss feels less because you start to see the pattern that it's happening for you and not against you. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Who else? Does anybody else want to discuss anything before we move on? Anybody? 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 Okay. On that note, who made a truth note card? Some of you still may have yours from previous classes. Well, I'll tell you what, I have learned a lesson this holiday program. Next year, y'all are getting actual assignments. I'm not going to call them healing activities anymore because nobody does them when I call them healing activities. You're all getting homework next year. So I want you guys to write your truth out on a note card. And it doesn't have to, those of you that are further along in your healing, it can be like, my truth is not just about Leaf and there is no death now, because I deal with different contrasts now, right? So my truth is that, like we were just talking about, part of my truth is that whatever leaves my vibration is not meant for my highest good anymore at that level. That's part of my truth. Part of my truth is that every single bit of anything I perceive as negative that comes into my life is here to teach me. And I can jump into that with vigor and it being a learning experience, or I can feel punished and victimized, right? So that's part of my truth. So I want you guys to kind of hone in on what your truth is right now. And the good thing about it is you'll have a foundational truth, but as you grow and grow and grow and keep growing through different stuff, it's going to be fluid and you're going to add to it and then you might take some away. But like my foundational truth is that there is no death. There has been no end It doesn't matter, you guys, how bad I mean, I don't try to screw up, but it doesn't matter how bad I screw up on any given day, because this is a screenplay that I've written this time, and I'm going to write 55 more, 5,500 more, a million different times again. And it really takes the pressure off trying to be in control and trying to strive for perfection, and it teaches you how to extend yourself grace. Susan, you made one. So every single time, if you take this note card and you write it down, every single time, Susan, that you get down in that contrast, you carry that on your person and you pull that out, and it does amazing things for the ego, you guys, because the ego is the five senses. It likes the five senses, and you've got it in your hand and you can feel it, and you can see it visually, right? And so you can literally just read it off, and it's an amazing, amazing piece for you to remember the truth of what you're working on at that time. Susan, do you want to share yours with us?
Yeah, sure. Well, I put it on the back of this card that I colored.
Sweet.
And I guess, I mean, I missed the assignment, but I just wrote down like 6 truths.
Perfect.
Okay. So number 1 is love never dies. 2, those who we love are always beside us, even after their souls leave their bodies. 3, we need never feel alone because of 1 and 2. 4, our loved ones are here for us even when we feel low and can't really sense them. 5, we will all be going home after we have learned our life's lessons, but we have to be open to learning them.
Absolutely.
And the 6th is we can still miss the physical bodies, but be sure in our truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, number 6 is a big one, guys, because here's the deal. You guys hear me say I don't miss sleeping physical, right? That was a level that I intentionally set and worked through with Leaf. And it's because really I'm a big ass baby. That's why I had to do it, because I was like, I cannot live with the missing the rest of my life, Leaf. And I asked him to start helping me with that, and he did, right? So it's not like I woke up one day and was like, oh, I don't miss him anymore. You know, he's here. It wasn't like that at all. That level was an intentional thing that I did. And again, what propelled that and brought that about for me is because I feel things. I'm a big emotional baby, and quite honestly, I couldn't handle it. So I asked him if he would help me with it. So if that, when you get to that point, if you want to work on that, that's a level you can work on. I've had clients that say, but Nikki, I don't want to work on that level. That's okay too. You know, that's okay too. For me, it's been very powerful simply because I've gotten to know Leaf better in spirit as I've been able to let him be released from my idea of him and his body. But that took a long time, guys. That took a long time. And like I said, that was a specific intention that I set. So I love that you wrote that down though, Susan, because it absolutely is okay. It absolutely is okay that you miss your kids in body. You know, of course it's going to happen. It's just a level of the grief, right? It's that physical, it's the physical palpability of it. Do you feel like, Susan, that if you keep that like in your purse and you're out somewhere and maybe you hit a trigger and you pull that out, say you're sitting in your car, right? And you see a group of Kai's friends and you immediately get triggered, right? And you get thrown into the loss of it, right?
Mhm.
Instead of she's right here. Oh, she is right there with them. Do you think if you were sitting in your car and you pulled that out and you read it, that it would help you kind of shift into your broader perspective and ground you a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I try to say them out loud too. So that really
Perfect.
helps.
Yeah, perfect. Because, you know, the power of your words, especially the spoken word, has vibrational power, right? So it's actually when you're speaking that, if you've gotten triggered and you're down here, as you speak that truth that you have, it actually raises you up vibrationally in those moments. So that's very, very powerful. Susan gets student of the month, you guys, because I don't see any of the rest of y'all with your note cards.
Nikki, I had a reading with Kat about 2 weeks ago, and
Uh-huh.
she gave me this mantra, and I have to tell you, it has lifted me in the past however long. I've been saying it since the day she sent it to me. And
Yay.
leading up to today, I would have been fearful and freaking out, and I wasn't. I was in a peaceful place all week. It's I am the master of my mind and body. Where love resides, fear is a stranger. Love resides
Perfect.
within me. I have it on my mirrors, I have it in my car. Now I know it by heart. And I say
love it.
constantly. And what a change. What a change.
That
I
is
sent her a
awesome.
note to thank her because I said, I'm like a new person.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, mantras are so powerful, you guys. One of my favorite ones is I'm healed of all my fear-based thoughts. I'm healed of all my fear-based thoughts. I'm healed of all my fear-based thoughts.
That's a good one.
And yeah, it's one that's very, very helpful for me. Mantraing is huge because what you're working with when you do that is your neuroplasticity, you know? Yeah, we can actually do a post too, Caroline, where everybody posts the mantras that are very powerful for them, because that's just more stuff to put in your toolbox, guys. More stuff to put in your toolbox, you know. And they are powerful. They're vibrationally powerful. They work with your neuroplasticity of your brain. You know, that's where the word warrior came from me when Leaf sent it. You know, when I was down in it, I would be like purging, purging, purging. I'm a warrior because I can feel this and purge it. I'm a warrior because I can give myself time to self-care. I'm a warrior because I can rise out of my shattering every time I shatter. So mantras are huge, so huge. And what they are is they are part of your truth. That would not work with Bernie, and it would not resonate and help her if it wasn't part of her fundamental truth. If she didn't recognize it as part of her remembering. Same thing with Susan with her bullet points on her truth note card. These mantras are you reiterating your truth over and over and over and over so that your ego self gets the damn picture, right? Because our ego selves are so stubborn. So, and our ego selves aren't bad. They're just stubborn. They just bless their hearts. They don't know about spirit and vibration and energy and all of that stuff.
One of the things that I often say, one of the things I often say is when I'm feeling like I'm going backwards or I'm not going forward, or maybe I'm not, but I'm just kind of hanging out or going backwards. I think about measured progress. I just love that expression because I always think how far you've come. I mean, it's been almost 6 years, and
absolutely,
you know, so I just love that expression. That was 2 words.
Who coined that for me is some of you guys know him, Aaron Crum. He was a guy that I went to high school with, and I ended up after Leaf reconnected us, and then his son left body 2 months later, and so back home, you know, all we had. So here's part of my morbid humor, mine and Tom's morbid humor. It was when our boys were now what we jokingly call fresh dead. And so we were the 2 people in town with fresh dead kids. And so everybody was like crossing the street, you know, didn't want to approach us. And so we hung out together a lot. And he was running a food truck, and I was going to help him with it just to get me out of the house. And we could, you know, both sit and talk about the spiritual stuff and the boys. And I was having a really down day. And he said, Nikki, look at our measured progress. We're both actually out here today working, and we're not holed up in the house. And I said, oh my God, those are 2 of the most powerful words I've ever heard. I'm totally stealing that from you, and I'm going to use it every day. And then I started using it in classes, and you know what I mean? So he actually coined that term, and it's some of the most powerful words. And such clarity he had to bring that up, because we have to look at that. We have to, because if not, your ego self will tell you you're going backwards, Lynn, or, oh, you're not doing enough to work on yourself right now, Lynn. And the fact of the matter is, in those in between your levels up, there are going to be times of respite where it's okay not to be working on you and just be. You have to have that time to integrate everything you've learned, right? That takes a lot of brain power, you guys. There's a lot of stuff going on up there. So those in between times, you're not going backwards. It's okay if you're not moving forward. You know, it's funny what we do, right? Because we do grow so fast and we bring in such new information so quick that when we hit what I used to call like a dry spell, we're like, uh-oh, I'm not growing anymore. And we don't extend ourselves enough grace to be like, oh, I have a little bit of breathing room right now. It's okay that I can have some breathing room right now to integrate this. So, but yeah, Lynn, I still look at my measure. I look at my measure of progress as a human being now too, like, because I can't be quick tempered. I can be pretty damn mouthy. And so, you know, when I'm not, you know, Bobby the X is in town and he's back in true form, right? He's back to his old self right now. And normally that would trigger me and I'd be like, I hate that son of a bitch. And this time I'm just like, whatever. I don't have to see you. And I'm really unbothered by it. And I'm like, damn, that's some good measured progress, because normally that man used to be able to trigger me. And you know, I was like, oh my gosh, it really is true. Like, I've forgiven him for being a douchebag, like, bless his heart, right? And I don't have to, it doesn't have to affect me anymore, you know? So you can use your measured progress with people in your lives, with your contrast in your lives, with your healing journey through your grief. I mean, literally make it a mantra, because you look at it with everything, with your work, look at it with your work, you know, your profession, your coworkers, your family relations, everything. It is so huge. I love that you use it all the time, Lynn. I use it all the time too. You know, it's kind of a running joke in this household now. If I stub my toe and I don't drop the F bomb, I'm like, that's measured progress. Good stuff. Kathy, will you go in and go ahead and do a post about, while you're on, because you can multitask better than me, do a post about post your most powerful mantras that you use? Because I would love everybody to share those.
Yeah,
Will you
I'll
do
start
that?
one.
Thank you. You can hashtag it healing activity, and then nobody will see it and comment on it. I'm so bad.
I did do mine. This has been sitting on my table for about, I don't know, 2 weeks now, Nikki. Can
Yay!
you read it?
I can't read it. Says, what's it say?
This is after the breaking comes the mending.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I did do mine. Not that you could read it because it's like chicken scratch, but mine is there is no death. Energy and love never dies. Connected eternally to my beautiful son, Mikey. Choosing healing every day, breathing and staying grounded.
I love it. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. And it's
See,
stuff
I
you
did
live
my
in every
homework.
day. You did. You get to be the other student of the month. The rest of y'all,
Woohoo!
I want you guys with your truth note cards, I want you to copy them onto paper and put them on your vision board too. Okay. That way, and then you can hang your vision board. And like I said, your vision board doesn't have to be this huge, you know, this huge piece of poster board. It can be just a small piece of printer paper, right? And you can, I had mine hanging on my, just on magnet on my fridge for a long time. That way, every time I went to get something to eat, which is often because I'm a foodie, I had it right there. And it would actually help me ground, because instead of just rotely going through the motions, I would look at it and I would have to get grounded and actually read through it and look at what I had put on there, so I could start manifesting and visualizing those things, and I could lean into the energy of it. So that is, and I know like vision boards are so cliche and totally trendy and blah, 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 but they, I gotta give it to, I mean, they work, guys. They really do work. So my first vision board I ever did was a year into my journey, and I wrote on there, and I'm surprised I even put it on there. But I put on there, I didn't even know the term grief coach, but I put on there, I want to be able to help people with their grief. and I had all these very powerful statements of things that I'd found in magazines. Here we are. You know, I put that I wanted to go on a cruise. I ended up being gifted 2 cruises within the next 2 years. I put on there that I wanted to live near the beach. And all of these things have happened without me literally putting in the effort for them to happen. They have divinely been orchestrated and unfolded. Okay. Very, very powerful. Kate, I missed what you typed. What did you type was your mantra? Got to feel it to heal it? You do. You do, guys. The only way out is through. And I know that down in the darkness, it sucks and it's a black pit of hell, but you cannot see the light without the darkness. You cannot do it. Can't do it. Good stuff. Who has an emotional hangover still from the holidays? Lee has one. You hit a milestone. That doesn't surprise me. Pam, do you have an emotional hangover? No? You still down in it?
I Christmas Eve day, I was going to message you because I was low as I'd ever been. And I got out of the car and I looked down and there's 2 pennies. And so I didn't call you.
He's like, you don't need Nikki. I'm right here.
I know. It's like, wow. So I didn't have to message you. But, you know, and that is kind of one of my mantras too, is still right here.
I love that one. That's a
You know,
powerful one.
still right here. So
Good, good. And Lee, you're feeling emotional hangover?
I'm mute. Yeah, I'm good. I'm better now, but yeah, I am feeling it. And I'm glad you put that in the group the other day because Skylar's anniversary is the 26th. And the next day it was my brother's birthday, who I'm really close to. But yeah, I felt guilty because I was just laying in bed. You know, I did gardening. I was just on my phone on social media and I just thought, this is bad. I'm, you know, going downhill. But then I read your post saying it is literally an emotional hangover. I thought I've wasted the day. I've just stayed inside and done nothing. So that, you know, it was a big catastrophe for me for a few hours. And then, yeah.
I'm so glad that resonates with you. Lee, you cannot believe, I mean, you can ask Debbie Johnson. I have literally assigned to Debbie Johnson, will you please just lay in bed a whole day and do nothing? Like, will you please do that? She's like, Nikki, that feels like big task. Debbie takes naps now, though. She'll take a nap now.
That was very hard assignments. And I still struggle with that, but I will like give myself an hour or 2 of nothingness. So measure progress.
Measure progress, that is. I mean,
that is, I take a nap for an hour.
Yeah, and that is huge progress for her. She's a busy bee. But like for me, I'm telling you guys, like after program's over and I get arm removed and the house is situated, I'm gonna lay my ass in bed for 3 days and do nothing but eat food and watch mind-numbing TV. That's all I'm gonna do for 3 days. I'm not, you know, I'm gonna make Tom walk the I'm doing nothing else. And I am not gonna feel a damn bit guilty about it. I didn't get out of the bed today until 11 o'clock. And I was like, I don't care. I have mastered the radical self-care without guilt, though, I will tell you. But it's good. You have to master that, you guys. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You know, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And Lee, I saw the pictures of the hike you took. That would have laid me up in bed for 4 days.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the hike. So maybe, yeah, I was being hard on myself because that hike sucked. Like it was an amazing thing to do, but it was tough. So I forgot about that.
Stairs, right?
Yeah, and I still can't walk properly, my calves. So yeah, probably.
That looked terrifying to me because it was really, really high up.
Yeah, it's a steep mountain, just straight up. Yeah.
So
it's good though.
Extend yourself grace, guys. I mean, even if you're not taking, you know, a 10-mile hike up a steep mountain, guess what? Emotionally, you're taking a 10-mile hike up a steep mountain, and then you're getting plummeted down into the depths, and you're taking another 10-mile hike back up the steep mountain over and over and over. And sometimes it's happening 75 times a day. You're tired. I've posted before, and I don't know where it's at. There is, I call them all memes. I don't know if they're actually, that's the right word or not, but all the things I post all the time, right? And it talks about how when you're healing, there's like 90% of your mental capacity is taken up through processing trauma and deconstructing old programming and reconstructing new programming and working with the neuroplasticity of your brain. 90% of your physical energy within your body is used for this process. Okay? Think of that. That's why you're tired, you guys. That's why it's okay to lay in the bed. That's why it's okay to take a break, because you're using up 90% of what you have, what you're physically capable of expending energetic wise on this part. And it's all inner. So while the neighbor may think you're so damn lazy because you're laying in the bed for 3 days, let them think that, because they're expending their physical energy through this and this and this. Yours is all happening here and here, right? If you ran 8 marathons, Susan can relate to this one. If you ran 8 marathons in one day, Susan, if you went to a marathon and then you took an hour break and then you went to another marathon and you did that all progressively for 24 hours, how long would you end up in bed like, oh my God, I'm so tired and sore?
Well, I actually do know people who have run one marathon after another. And yeah, they're not in bed, but I would certainly be in bed for like a month. So, yeah.
Yeah, if I walked 3 miles, I would be in bed for a month, you guys. So just remember, when you're feeling the guilt of that, remember this piece of it, okay? That you would not expect anybody else that's ran 18 marathons in one day to be up being productive the very next day. Extend yourself the grace to let your body regenerate the energy it needs to function, okay? Like for real. And this is something that's not really, you hear me say radical self-care, radical self-care, radical self-care, but this is why. This is the actual physiologic reason why it's so needed. And that's not talked about a lot in the healing community. This is the physiology of healing and what is going on within your physical system, your nervous system, your brain, your circulation. It's all affected by it, all of it. And then you throw in some cellular memory on top of that, Pam, Lee, of course you're going to be tired. Of course you're going to be tired.
You know what? If I've learned anything since Patrick hopped the veil, it's self-care.
Oh, yeah.
I could go to bed. I can nap. I had 4 children very close together. I was always going. And I wish I'd learned this sooner, but I didn't. That, when you put yourself out there and you put yourself out there for other people and you just keep doing it, and sometimes it gets to be a little too much,
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to learn that, but I mentioned Christmas Eve. I was at my sister's. Everybody's who's had pneumonia. Everybody's not been feeling good. One of my sisters was a little hateful. And I looked around and I go, I don't want to be around these people. So when I was leaving, I go, I'm uninviting everyone for dinner tomorrow. I already cooked. So I went home and I made trays, and the next day I dropped one off here, dropped one off there. And Tony and I had a very nice day together. 20 years ago, I would never, ever, I would say, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? I don't give a shit what they think of me. I mean, so I love them to death, but you know what? There was, with everyone not feeling good and me having to go into the hospital today, I just said, And Tony and I and my brother, one brother-in-law that was there, had our masks on until dinner because even though I'm not contagious, I've been coughing for weeks. I don't want to cough on anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just took everything out of the equation. And Tony said, I had such a nice day. And we've been enjoying this gorgeous weather at the beach and the park. And that's where I need to be, you know? And about 2 weeks before Christmas, when I really wasn't feeling good, I sent my friend a message. I'm sorry, I can't make it Thursday. And I just backed up from everything. And it's taken me a long time to get there, but you know what? It feels good. I was such a doormat. I was such a doormat most of my life.
So when you learn to set boundaries and do your self-care, there's a freedom that comes with that. After you work through the guilt part of that, there's a freedom. It's not easy, but there's a freedom that comes with it that it's just like, and you float, you can just float, right? And you recenter and you regroup. And I'm doing that in baby spurts right now.
Good.
You know, because I have deadlines right now, and they're leases and things that, you know, I can't just be like, it'll take care of. But you know what? I'm serious. Like when program ends and things are settled, I will take a week. You know, last year I took a month. I took a month last year after the program ended, and I
remember.
I didn't do anything. I did private sessions, and that was it. I hardly posted in the group. Because it was like, all right, I got to recharge. I got to recharge. You guys have to recharge. You have to, you know, especially those of you under the weather.
I was going to say, I agree with Bernie. Like I've definitely gotten a lot better about self-care. Because I always used to feel like guilty about, you know, taking care of myself or like resting even. And I always felt like I always felt obligated to say yes to everything. But like I will say that just in terms of like laying in bed, just doing nothing, I think at first, you know, earlier on, I was afraid to do that because there were days that I would just stay in bed literally all day and like for a couple of days at a time. And I think I'm kind of afraid of going back there. So maybe I think what I've been trying to do is just take breaks when I need to. So now, like, you know, if one morning I don't want to get up early and go for a run and I just want to stay in bed and lay in bed and like, you know, just feel the feels for like a few hours, I'll do that for a few hours. And then I'll just be able to get up and be like, okay, I'm just going to start the day now. But I needed that few hours because, you know, I think I just needed it.
Well, because the only way out is through. And so if you have to lay in bed to feel the feels and get down in it, that's great. That means you're not bypassing it. If you were needing to feel it, Susan, and you hopped up and said, I'm going for a run instead, that would be bypassing, and you're not doing that. You're going through it. You're doing what you need to do. If there is one of the major gifts of this, you guys, is that you are going to learn, come hell or high water, you're going to learn it, I promise, to extend yourself enough grace to be able to take care of yourself the way that you need to. You're going to. You're going to learn to do it with your embodied children. You're going to learn to do it with your employers. You're going to learn to do it with your friends. You're going to learn to do it with your family, your spouses. You're going to learn to do it. The shattering will make sure that you learn to extend yourself grace. Peggy knows. Peggy knows. She fought it for a while until she was like, I surrender. You know? So,
yeah, my body was like, you're going to lay down, girl. For about a month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. So let's talk about the new year. Is anybody having any anxiety with the new year coming? You're all good? All right. Well, I'll just see you on the 2nd then. It's actually good if you're not. I panicked my first 2 years when the new year was coming in because I hadn't quite gotten it through my thick ego skull that linear time meant nothing.
Yeah, I
Right?
was
I
like that
hadn't-
too.
Yeah, I hadn't quite wrapped my old human brain around that. Now I'm like, New Year, Shmoo Year, whatever. So if you are experiencing that, remember, linear time is an earth paradigm thing. That's all it is. What is happening? Why is this? My computer's doing crazy things. Leave my computer alone, boys. Linear time is an earth paradigm thing. Okay. You're moving into the new year, which means more time to build your new relationship with your kiddos, more time to build your new relationship with you, more time to set your intention and to step into the life you want. Okay? It's very, very hard, you guys, to go back and live the same life that you lived before. Most people that I see try to mimic their before life, hit a certain level of healing, and that's where they stay. Okay? If you will start cultivating even small things that will help you step into your higher self and the life that you actually did right in, you'll keep experiencing healing and growth. Okay. So that's what I want to talk about when I'm talking about the intention for the new year. Some of my intentions look like I'm all the time continually. I will continually be doing shadow work until I leave my body, right? So some of my intentions for the new year look like releasing my blocks with financial abundance, right? I have financial abundance blocks, which denotes my shadow of being deserving and all. It's tangled web, right? So that's one of the things I'm going to be working on. Another thing I'm going to be working on is being able to receive better. You guys give me a compliment, I usually deflect it, or I make, or I project and make some offhanded remark, right? Like I deflect it. So being able to openly receive the fact that I am good at what I do. And that doesn't mean that I'm not humble, because I can say, oh, I am good at what I do, right? I have some things to reconcile there within my own shadow. Another intention that I'm setting is to be more healthy, be better to my body. That's an ongoing one for me, as you all know, because I fell off keto a month ago and I fell hard and my body's not happy about it. So I have to get back into that whole jazz. It's to explore new areas. And Kathy knows this one of my intentions is to, and she's probably making me do it, which is good, is to widen my social media presence, which means I'm going to have to learn more about the technology and all of the things. So that's one of my intentions. And mine seem very earthy and surface, right? Because that's what I'm working. Like my journey now is about learning how to better navigate the earth paradigm, right? Because I know the things I need to know about the spiritual paradigm. And my other, my previous stages of healing, some of those things look like working on self-care more, looked like honing my connection more, learning to be more grounded, learning to be more intentional with my words, learning to more easily release people, places, and things that were no longer serving my highest purpose or my healing. So I want you to really, really be thinking about what your intentions are for your healing, your grief journey, the healing in that, and your self-healing, okay? Some of you are working on, unbeknownst to yourselves, it's kind of funny how the grief journey works, right? Because it really makes it us very aware of what our shadow parts are, right? I did a huge post about this. Part of that is that we have to own that part. Guys, we are creatures of duality. You are not, I love y'all, but there's not a one of you here that is all love and light. There's just not. That's not how it works. You wouldn't be in a body if you were supposed to be all love and light. We have the ego self, we have the shadow self, we have things to work on and mend and mold, and we all have toxic traits. All of us do. Every single one of us. Once you become aware of those and you own them, that's when you can start to heal the pieces that make the toxic behavior, right? So that's why I did that big long, it was kind of a rant, the big long ranting post about own your shadow, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was really calling everybody out. I don't know what got into me in that moment, but so think about those things too. You know, do you have control issues? Do you like I know some of you are laughing about that. Do you have control issues? I saw you looking at me, Debbie. You know, that is a shadow thing. There's a reason why you feel like you have to be in control all the time. Are you quick tempered? I can be very reactive and very quick tempered. I am way less reactive and way less quick tempered than I was even 3 years ago. With most things. You know, something that I can trigger very easily with Omri. I can get really sucked back into our very toxic behaviors that our household had when I was raising my kids with Bobby. And so that's one of my healing intentions, is to become less triggered and more communicative with my daughter so that we can learn not to trigger each other into, you know, old behavior patterns. What else are my intentions? I have a bazillion lists, and I don't like the term resolutions. Intention is where healing starts, right? We set the intention, and then you have to put the action behind it. When you're talking about healing your own shadow stuff, right? Which a lot of times happens really as a byproduct of your grief journey, which is great. You have to be willing to be accountable for the parts that you're stirring up. You know what I mean? For some people that could look like being I have mouth issues, Bernie. But you also have to know it's okay to set boundaries. It's that like not being like, fuck you, here's the boundary. It's like, oh, here's the boundary, and you're not going to cross it, right? It's learning how to maneuver that, navigate that in a more graceful way. And I'm not always graceful either, you know that. So for some people, it might look like being materialistic. For some people, it might be maybe you passive aggressively manipulate people. You know, passive aggressive is a big, huge shadow thing. Maybe, you know, you're too aggressive. I've been known to be too aggressive, you know. So start looking at what are the pieces about you in particular where you want to grow too. Because the fact of the matter is the shattering comes not just so you can know the truth that there is no death. It comes ultimately for you to heal yourself of the wounds from the lessons that you wrote in this screenplay, this lifetime. Does that make sense? Oh, the irony. Oh, the irony. So start thinking about some of those things. And for those of you that shared on that post, kudos to you, because it is not an easy thing to be like, you know, when you first start owning your accountability or being accountable and owning your own toxic traits, like it feels pretty cringy, right? It feels pretty cringy. But once you learn to do it openly, that's where the healing comes in, because you can put the action behind the intention and you can actually start working to heal those wounds that cause that behavior. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I feel like I'm talking in circles.
Makes sense.
Okay, good. I want you guys not only to be setting intentions and I want you to write these out as lists. This is an assignment. This is homework. Is to write out a list, right? What are your healing intentions for your grief? What are your healing intentions for your spiritual connection with your kiddos? You know, what are your healing intentions for your spiritual connection with yourself? What are your healing intentions so that you can start stepping into your higher self? Maybe it looks like boundary setting. Maybe it means like Bernie said, maybe it means setting a boundary, but doing it in maybe a more socially acceptable way, which I can relate to because I used to be a hardcore boundary setter and now I can do it in a way that is not quite so aggressive, I guess you might say. um, so think of, I want you guys really thinking about these things. As I'm speaking, are you all kind of thinking about things that you want to be working on and writing down? Some of you may not feel comfortable being vulnerable in front of other people. Guess what? With vulnerability comes authenticity. Okay? Authenticity is being able to not have to mince words. You know, it sucks for me sometimes because I when I come on and I comment and I don't mince words, right? I'm just like very like bam, bam, bam. New people that come in the group, they're like, oh my God, she's so cold hearted. There's no tone or anything in my voice when I'm typing. I'm just like, well, have you done this and this and this? And to them, they're like, oh my God, she's so bossy. I wasn't trying to be bossy. It was like, okay, here, try this and this and this. Maybe that will help, right? But so being authentic, part of that is learning to be okay with being vulnerable. Part of that is learning to have those hard conversations that you don't always want to have. That it's better to learn to have them, be vulnerable in that than keep feeling like crap because you're not having it and keep putting on airs or whatever it is. So if, you know, part of my intention all the time is to become more and more extremely authentic, quite honestly, because authenticity is a direct link to your higher self. Okay. It means you're honoring yourself, good, bad, and ugly, enough to be authentic in it and not pretend in front of anybody. Okay. It's not easy. It's not easy. You know, I'm not a Trump person, but I'll give you this. The man is authentic. I don't know that his authenticity is tied to his higher self. It may be really tied into his shadow self, but he's pretty authentic for the most part. I mean, for the most part, you know, that's a whole different soapbox. But start thinking about that. Part of this is learning about who you are. Who are you? Really, for the first time in my life, I could really sit down and write out who I am, what I stand for, where my heart is, what I'm passionate about, what I won't tolerate, what I will tolerate. Like, I know these things now. I'm 44 years old. Had Leaf not left his body, I don't know that I would be 44 years old and know that. I really don't. And it feels good to know myself in this way. And it feels good to be able to know myself enough to know that I'm going to keep growing and I'm going to keep discovering new things about myself. Okay. So that's part of what I want you guys kind of throwing around with your intentions. Okay. Because that is the end all be all to this journey. That's why you and your child wrote this in. For you to discover your authentic self that's tied to your higher self. That truly is like the biggest gift of it all. Okay. Does that mean it's going to be easy and fun and games? Nope. A lot of contrast comes with it. A lot of contrast comes with it, but it's so freeing. It's so freeing. And if you're like me, I know I'm going to be growing and healing something, some obscure wound that makes me behave the way that I do. I'm going to be doing that, you know, until I leave this body. So, who knows? Thank you, Kate. Who already kind of has an idea of what some of your healing intentions are going to be? Caroline, Bernie. Okay, good.
This has nothing to do with what, well, it may do, but last year you were going to do a shadow work class. Remember, are you still going to do that?
I can. You know, I never had enough interest in it to I mean, because I need like usually at least 8 people, right, to pull a good class because we all learn from each other and the energy. So I would love to do a shadow work class. It's something I'm constantly working on, constantly. and it's a very intriguing journey, Pam.
Well, yeah, and I remember you had posted the workbook that goes with that, or so I
Yep.
think Tom
And
had given it to you or something.
he did, and I've since gotten 2 more shadow workbooks that are, they're pretty good too. I open up, I'm like, damn, I really don't need to be teaching people because I have got some shit to work on. But yeah, absolutely. I would absolutely be open to doing that. If I have enough of you interested, I will absolutely do that. End of January, maybe February, I would do that, absolutely. And that's another thing, guys, for next year too. Figure out what you guys want me to be putting out there. I'm always open. If somebody says, hey, I need this class, just like Pam said, I'll do it. Like I'll do it, So I'm always open to that. So yeah, Pam, good reminder. Thank you. We can do a trigger class. I have not done a trigger class since COVID, because I didn't want to do a trigger class during COVID because everybody's energy vibration was so low anyway. I was like, oh God, I don't want to start pulling this stuff out on top of COVID, but I can absolutely do a trigger class. And with triggers, it can be grief triggers. It can be life triggers. It can be, you know what I mean? Like, because it's literally about reprogramming the brain with your trigger, your reaction. So absolutely we can do that. Boundaries class. Yeah, we can do all of that. I mean, we can do whatever I'm up for it, guys. I'm up for it. It's whatever you guys need. Absolutely. So here's what we're going to do. On January 1st at 1 p.m., Kat is going to do an energy cleanse reset for the first day of the new year with you guys. Okay. January 2nd, I can't remember what time. I have to look at the schedule. It's going to be our closing Zoom for the program. All right. Kathy's already got the YouTube channel set up. She's adding all the videos on so you guys have access to everything that's been recorded. Okay. Kat forgot to record the Christmas dinner in heaven the other night. So she's going to run back through that, the guided visualization, and record it. And then we're going to add it in too. Okay. It just won't be the one that you guys were all on with. So it's all going to be on there. What I want you guys to bring January 2nd is your vision board. All right. I want you all to bring your vision board because we're going to go through and we're going to share those. Your vision board and your intentions for 2022. And guys, your intentions can look like, maybe it's that you want to learn to use divination tools. Maybe it's that you want to learn, Reiki. Maybe it's that you want to set a morning and evening ritual and get more structured in your spiritual journey. Maybe it's, these intentions can really run the full spectrum. Okay. The full spectrum. So I want you really, really contemplating that. Maybe it's that you want to hone in on your telepathy, or you want to decalcify your pineal gland, open your third eye, whatever it is. There is nothing you can bring to this table that's going to sound crazy. Okay. Absolutely nothing. So bring it, let it all hang out, and let's get really real with this. That way, 2022 can be a massive shift for you guys. You're like, oh my God, do we have to have more massive shifting? I know, it's exhausting. So that's what I want you to bring January 2nd to the table. Okay. And I'm going to bring one too. I don't know how detailed. Mine may be drawn pictures on a piece of paper and words because things are crazy over here, but it's all about the intention and the action being set behind it. Okay. I want you to pick 3 of those intentions. And I want you to write down action steps that you can do to put energetic momentum behind them. Okay. So if it's, I want to learn to use divination tools, Maybe your action step is going to be, I'm going to ask Nikki to do a divination tool class, right? Or I want to learn how to automatic write. Oh, I'm going to get the book that Debbie Johnson has that is such an amazing automatic writing teaching tool, right? So I want you to think of three of your intentions. What action can you put behind those intentions? If it's self-care, it can be, I'm going to take half a day every week on a Sunday to lay in bed and do nothing. That's your action step behind. That's your action in action step behind it. You know, if it's, I want to get more structured in my spiritual journey, then your action step could be, I'm going to figure out a morning ritual. I'm going to figure out an evening ritual. If it's more, if your intention is about protecting your energy, it can be, I'm going to take an Epsom salt soak and clear my energy and do an energy cleanse visualization 2 times a week, whatever it looks like for you. Okay. I want you setting your intentions, writing them down, and then I want you to pick 3 that you're going to go ahead and look at my nails. They're horrible. And then I want you to pick 3. What are my intentions that I'm going to get this off? And then I want you to pick 3 that you can put palpable action steps behind, and I want you to write those action steps down. Okay? That's homework, you guys. This is me getting bossy. I waited till the very end of the program to get bossy. I want y'all to do it.
Nikki, could you please post about the vision boards? Because I think I might have, I don't know what's supposed to.
Yeah. So Susan, the vision boards, you can make a big poster board one, or it can be just like a piece of paper, like a piece of printer paper. I wish that we had like regular old fashioned print magazines, because those were the funnest to do when you could cut and, go through them and find the pretty things and cut and paste. Now you may have to go to the Google and print something out, like print an image out. So it can be words, powerful words that have to do with your intentions, and you're going to cut it out or write it and draw it and make it pretty on your piece of paper. When I did the one that I did in my first year, I had paper magazines at that point. So I did, like, I wanted to go on a cruise. I had never been one. So I cut a picture of a cruise ship out and I put it on there. And then I wanted to keep working on my healing. So I found some really powerful quotes about healing, and I cut those out and I put it on there. Self-care, maybe you find a picture of a bubble bath or somebody taking a nap and you paste it on there. So it's visuals, right? Visuals, and you're going to put it on something that you can place. Some people place them. Debbie's got hers right there. Just sleep on it. You're doing it, Debbie. You're doing it.
Oh, cool.
We did a class that we did vision board. Is that from one of my classes, Debbie?
Yep, that was from it was right after the New Year's. We did was it Raising Your Vibration? And that was our homework.
Yeah.
And that's been on the back of my my door. So every time I leave shut my door at night to go to sleep, it's always there. So
now you're gonna add more. Are you gonna add more to it?
Well, I'm gonna cut the things out that I didn't do, and then add it to the new one, and then I'll add more to my new one. So,
and here's a good point too, because I know Bernie, you've got yours too. For those of you that already have them, for like what I would do personally is I would take my one, like you said, Debbie, take off what you didn't conquer, right? What you didn't manifest or whatever, put it on your new one, but then take the stuff that did happen and place it at the top of wherever you hang it. And then you can have a running vision board, guys. So when you've mastered something or the intention that you set has come to fruition, you can take it off and you can move it up. And what a great way to look at your measured progress. You know what I mean? It's like a literal running measured progress chart. So that's something neat that you guys could do with it too. Yeah, does that answer your question, Susan?
Yep.
Okay,
And thanks for
awesome.
showing us yours, Debbie. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
those of you, I know Bernie and Debbie, you both have yours. If you guys want to take photos of those and post them in the group so everybody can kind of get a good idea of what y'all's look like. I have no idea where mine's at right now because they're.
I can't hold mine up with this stupid background. You can't see anything, you know? So I will take a picture.
Okay, awesome.
Does anyone know how to change the background?
Kathy Elliott, do you know how?
I could change it on my iPad, but not on my computer. I have a Mac.
I'm not sure right off how to do it on the Mac, Bernie. You may have to go into your settings outside of the meeting and change them on your main Zoom settings.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll try that.
Or get rid of your Mac and just get a simple computer machine like I have.
You know what? My computer's 7 years old. I honestly very rarely use it, so I should. But
I was just kidding, Bernie.
There you go, Bernie. Put a new computer on your vision board.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that.
And that's a good point too, guys. Things that you want to manifest, even material things. Like if you want, a remodeled bathroom, put a remodeled bathroom on there. Caroline, this will be good for you because with the fire, you got a whole house that's going to be redone. So man, put your vision up there for what you want that to look like. You know what I mean?
Sounds good.
Work goals, you guys. If you're wanting a promotion, put something on there to do with that. Health goals. I know Antoinetta, you're dealing with health issues. Bernie, you're dealing with health issues. Put something on there about manifesting healing for your health, for your body. All right. Of course, you have to remember. I see that look on your face, Debbie Johnson. You have to remember that soul contracts, what you've written in, still comes into this. You can't just manifest miraculous recovery if you have written in that you're going to go through something physically, right? So let me throw that out there. Debbie's face is like, wait a minute, Nikki. So you have to remember that too. Okay, we're setting intentions, but those intentions are not going to negate your soul contracts either. All right. So and some of those lessons. Go ahead, Debbie. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and be very clear about the things on there, because some of the things, like I said, I had intentions, or I put the picture that I wanted to go on vacation and be in a hammock or on the beach, and I got a beach picture and a hammock for my birthday. That didn't quite work out, and then I wanted this nice garden, and I got flowers, from some people, from Isaac, and so yeah, I think I need to learn to be a little more specific when I put it on, because it came about just not how I thought it was supposed to come about. So
exactly.
So when you said intention, you were very right.
Well, and here's the deal. Here's the trick to it too. You have to get detailed, but then you also have to set the intention without the expectation for the details. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's that spirit trickery. There's those nuances, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And everybody put on there that you want to manifest coming to Warrior Weekend in June too. So because that's going to be a good time. Okay, before we close out, does anybody have any questions? Do you guys need to be do you have anything else coming up that you need to discuss?
Patrick's birthday's
go ahead, Bernie.
Patrick's birthday's coming up next week, but I'm okay.
Are you okay?
I am. I buy cupcakes every year. Sometimes my kids are with me. This year it'll just be Tony and I, but that's fine. And I sing, and I made an appointment for a massage that morning.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
That's the thing, guys. Like, I remember, when I was going through the first, I was like, oh, I can't do this relief, or I can't do this relief. And it was like, but you can do it for yourself, Mom. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I look at that. Like, I'll gift something to myself or something to somebody else, and that's done with his energy backing it. So that's actually perfect, Bernie. I love that.
Yeah,
Love
thanks.
it, love it, love it. And happy birthday, Patrick.
Yay, 42.
Yay. 42. I didn't realize he was so close to my age.
I know.
Boy, we would have gave you a run for our money had we been buddies.
Oh,
when
if
he
you
was
were
in college.
together, I probably would have ran away. You would have got along very well.
All right, guys. I so appreciate. I hope everybody is taking something away from the program, and I so hope that each of you have found this beneficial this year. I tried to change it up a little bit this year with the mediumship showcase, but I think it went good. Did you guys like the mediumship showcase? Yeah. So maybe next year we'll do a little bit of both. We'll do more mediums and more presenters, like, you know, because we had so, I won't triple stack it like Spirit did that, you know, last year. But maybe next year we'll kind of mix and mingle it up with both. I think that would be good. I really liked the pop-ups this year with Kate doing her stuff and Kat doing her stuff and Kathy doing her stuff. And the Reiki with Tara and with Stacy. So, I mean, I do want your feedback too, guys, before I close out everything, which will be a while. I'll go in and I'll ask for your feedback this year so I can keep honing this to what you guys feel like you need. Okay? All right, good deal.
Can I ask one more question? I don't know if I would ask
Absolutely.
you this, Jess. Does anyone know if Jackie is back doing her thing since her brother passed?
Valentine,
Yes.
I don't know if she's back offering sessions again yet. I've seen her posting a few times on social media.
Yeah.
She's on my friends list, but I'm not sure what her appointment status is at the moment.
Okay. Thank you.
I have no idea, Bernie. It's by the grace of God that I see any of your guys' posts, because I really have just filled my Facebook page with uplifting content or really, really sassy content.
Well, I sent her an email expressing my sympathy and my love, and she sent me something back, but I don't want to just ask her, like, are you back yet? I figured I'd
I
wait
would
until I
just-
saw something.
Yeah, I would go on and just check her page, because
Yeah.
I mean, she'll surely post something about when she's back. I didn't even know her brother had passed, quite honestly.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Kathy, you're up.
All right,
Oh
I'm
my-
just gonna draw from the Spirit Junkie deck tonight. It's more of an affirmation deck than an oracle deck, but that's kind of
Perfect.
what I was feeling for us today. So we'll see what it says. Instead of taking on the fear of others, I reflect love.
Mm,
So that's
Woohoo,
what today
perfect.
good one.
yeah.
Absolutely. My hope is that we can all walk into 2022 feeling just a little bit more empowered. Just even just a smidgen. I call it even just a smidgen a win,
Yeah.
truly, you know?
Yep.
So, all right. On that note, let's go ahead and close out. I may or may not be on with Kat on the first. That completely depends on the status of me getting Omri out of that apartment and it cleaned. So if not, I will see you guys on the second. Other than that, just do your homework. Do your homework. That way we could all walk into 2022 more empowered. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Everybody give a big stretch. Nice deep breath in. Nice deep breath out. Close your eyes. Visualize. And repeat after me. Archangel Michael.
Archangel Michael,
Archangel Azrael.
Archangel Azrael,
Please come down
Please come down.
Please come down.
and cut all energetic cords
Cut all energetic cord
that drain my vibration,
that drain my vibration,
that feed me toxic energy,
that feed me positivity,
that cause me anxiety,
that cause me anxiety,
or any lower vibration emotion.
or any lower vibration emotion.
Please shower me,
Please shower me,
surround and protect me
surround and protect me
in a force field
in a force field
of divine white light.
of
of
divine
divine white light.
Thank you, and so it is.
Thank you, and
Thank
so it
you.
is.
So it is.
All right, get that energy moving through your hands. Just hands, just spirit hands, just spirit hands. And palms up. Nice big deep breath in. Exhale, close your eyes. And say, I call all of my divine power back to me now.
I call all my divine power back to me now.
See those rays of light coming in from each other, coming in from all over the world, from your family, from your friends, anybody you've come into contact with. Those beams center in the palms of your hands. You may feel flushed. It turns to liquid light and it starts filling the body cavity and running down the forearms into the elbows, moving through the upper arms into the shoulders. It flows like liquid ink into the chest space, up through the neck and into the head, warming all the physical muscles, opening the chakras, healing any dis-ease. Flows back down through the neck, back to the chest space, opening that heart center as it flows down through the ribs and abdominal area. It glows bright, fills every cell as it moves down into the hips, the pelvic girdle, opening that sacral chakra as it splits and moves into the upper thighs, glows down to the knees, feeling the legs through the calves, into the ankles, the heels of your feet, flows down to the very tips of your toes. Step back and watch your body glowing with your divine power that connects you to spirit, to source, to your children, and to yourself. Take notice of the color that it glows. Lean into the sensation of the warmth or the coolness that it's radiating throughout your physical body. Hold it there and stand in your own power. And then say thank you, and so it is.
Thank you.
So it is.
So it is.
All right, ladies. Antoinetta and Bernie, we're sending you guys big healing love to feel better. Keep
Thank
us
you.
posted. Keep us updated. We're with you. For the rest of you, of course, we're with you too. But do your homework, get some self-care in, recenter, regroup, and I will see you guys on the 2nd. Have a good New Year's. If you can't have a good one, just find some comfort and rest, okay? And you know where I'm at. If you need me, I may have a drink or two on New Year's, but if you need me, I'll have my phone on me. I'm fine when I have a few cocktails, so.
I love you all. Good night.
Thank
love
you.
you
Thanks so
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody. Love you
Bye.
all.
all.
Love you.